The following is a special presentation of the Decibel Geek Podcast. This is the Decibel Geek Podcast with Aaron Camaro and Chris Sinzak.
Take a trip with me, I like to have a good time. Take this tip from me, go get yourself some wine. Wired up to take a ride on the skyline.
Broadcasting to you live to digital from right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Your favorite rock and roll podcast. This is the Decibel Geek. My name is Aaron Camaro, joined as always by my main man right there, Chris Sinzak. How's it going, brother?
Good. We are now in 2019.
It's a whole new year. How many years does this make it now for us doing this?
April will be 8 years.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's crazy,
yeah,
but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we're not stopping anytime soon. So we're back to you once again. We're going to do a traditional thing today. Our top 10 picks each from 2018, the best albums in rock and metal. I think you're going to have fun today because we're going to bring you all kinds of different bands to check out, and we hope you support these bands and artists because, man, we sure do. So are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, boy, my picks are completely across the board.
Yeah, I guess mine kind of are too. I mean, of course, you know, we put these lists together, everybody does it, but it's all just a matter of opinion. You know,
totally.
And it's what we dug, what we found to be the best albums of 2018. So don't get upset. And if you're an artist and you're on this list, this is something I realize. Nowadays, it's not like it was back in the day. Like 89, there was a limited number of albums that were released. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I mean, if you made the top 10 of the Decibel Geek list, that's an accomplishment because a couple thousand albums were released this year.
Crazy.
So out of a couple of thousand albums, making the top 10,
yeah,
prestige.
When I picked my favorite stuff of the whole year, my list initially was 39.
Yeah.
So I narrowed it down to 10. So, and I'll list off my also rans as we go, but just know that anything, even on my also ran list, could have easily made this list. I essentially tried to find the 10 songs that I want to present to you that kicked ass in 2018.
That's cool. So we should have fun doing that today. So can I get started?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm going to start out with my number 10 pick of 2018. I've always liked this band. They've been around for a while now, but every album they come out with, I seem to like them a little bit more. And I find this to be my favorite album by Halestorm. It came out this year. It's called Vicious. It was released on July 27th, and they released singles Uncomfortable off of it, and then they followed up with Black Vultures and Do Not Disturb. I mean, I think this band just keeps getting better and better and better, but I'm going to go ahead with that single because I just love that song, man. It's a hard rock and kick-ass tune. Lizzie and RJ are killing it on there. The whole band is awesome on this album. If you've been on the kind of like on the border about what you think about Halestorm, I think giving their new album a chance is going to give you a whole new awakening to them. So I recommend it, but here's a taste for you from that album, Vicious. This is Halestorm with Uncomfortable.
Makes me feel so floated. I did it because fuck you, man. I get that crazy and I was gonna see me and I did it just to got the noise. I did it for the truck and I did it just to watch, baby. I'm just gonna noise. I did it to break every single frequency. That's you how I did it.
amazing.
Oh, so good.
Lizzie Hale's vocals are just incredible.
Yeah,
just amazing.
And this band, they wear their heart on their sleeves. They fly the flag of hard rock and metal just like we do. They're fans of all these bands that we love as well. So, I got no problem supporting a band like Hailstorm.
Maybe hearing a member or two on the show this year. Maybe.
That'd be awesome.
That's all I'm going to say.
That'll bump them up on the list.
Oh yeah. So for my number 10. This was the 12th studio album by this band released on Frontier Records, and this band's always been close to making my list, and in 2018 they finally did. I'm talking about Primal Fear. Ralph Sheepers, Matt Sinner, and Magnus Carlson lead this power metal juggernaut, and this song, in my opinion, is cocaine for your eardrums. This is Primal Fear with a song called New Rise. Catch Your Breath.
That's badass, man. I like that.
That's unrelenting. And that's a really good record, Apocalypse, on Frontiers Records.
Right on. Awesome. Okay, so that brings me up to number 9. I think this was a band we've talked about these guys before. They were like in the new wave of classic heavy metal. When we talked about that, this is a band called Skullfist. Good stuff, man. If you're into Maiden, old school Maiden, Priest, stuff like that, I mean, you gotta love this. If you haven't checked out Skullfist, I highly recommend it. Led by Zach Slaughter. It's a Canadian band, and they just came out with a new album this year called Way of the Road. And there's a lot of great stuff on this album, but I think people are gonna dig it. So here's a good choice tune for you to check out from that album. Way of the Road came out on Napalm Records this year. This is Skullfist with I Am a Slave. That's metal right there. I like that.
Skullfist is a great band, and that there's a whole new wave of traditional heavy metal that's
right. That's
that
what I was thinking of. Yeah.
There's a lot of bands that fit in. Well, Stryker is another band. They're another Canadian band that almost made my list. And
oh yeah, that's right. They came out with a good album this year.
And so there's a whole wave of that stuff going on now. So it gives you hope for the future of metal.
Right. To me, I'm not hearing it on the radio,
No.
But these bands are bubbling underneath, and they've got the right idea. These are the bands that they're young and they need to be supported. Get out there and buy this new Skullfist album so that people know there's value in this. It's up to us to bring it back. It really is.
So we go from a young upstart band to a one of our favorites, Lizzie Borden, put out an album in 2018.
I was so excited that it was finally going to happen.
Yeah, My Midnight Things came out on Metal Blade Records. Not nearly enough material has been put out by him in the past 2 decades.
No,
So,
that's why this was so
excited.
exciting. Yeah.
And it's a bit of an uneven effort. The album's got some head scratchers on it for sure.
Yeah.
And the production is a little strange. But with that said, the highlights on this album do save it and give Lizzie Borden fans another great addition to the discography. Here's one of the singles. It's called Long May They Haunt Us.
Just a little bit out of reach. When I see you in my dreams, from the past I cannot run. To the edge I wanna go. Put an end to the sorrow. Rain tears that drown my soul. Remember all our tomorrows. Let's have one more for the road. Long may they haunt us. Long may they stay, never go. Hide away, hide in the shadows. Long may they haunt us. Long may they live within us all. Dream away, make it like before. Just a little beyond my reach. Lovely's more than a memory. From the silence of the room, we have lost or gone too soon. Washed away in white mist dreams. I drink to you my midnight things. Forget whatever never brings. May your glass always be full. Long may they haunt us. Long may they stay, never go. Hide away, hide in the shadows. Long may they haunt us. Long may they live within us all. Dream away, make it like before. Long may they haunt us. Long may they stay, never go. Hide away, hide in the shadows. Long may they haunt us. Long may they live within us all. Dream away, make it like before. Long may they haunt us. May they haunt us. Long may they stay, never go. Hide in the shadows. Dream away, may they haunt us. May they haunt us. Within us all. Dream away, make it like before. Wish you away, yeah, wish you away. You're gonna see me in your dream.
What did you-
Return to Lizzie Borden.
So what was your thoughts on that album?
I think sometimes like with certain artists, and this is going to come up again later on in this talk, as we get closer to the top 5, but I think sometimes artists, to me, are so revered that it's almost hard for them to live up to, what you expect from them.
Mm-hmm.
I was so excited about the new Lizzie Borden. I was so glad for him to be back. I bought the album, the day it came out. It was in the mailbox. It was here, which that was awesome. Mm-hmm. And listened to it, and the first time I was like, I don't know, and then the next time, and it grew on me more and more as I listened to it. But like you said, there's some songs on there that are kind of weird. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel like it was a Lizzie Borden album that was made for me, an old school Lizzie Borden fan, because that's what I am looking at when this is coming out. I'm excited because I've been a fan since I was young, and the classic stuff. But this almost sounds like, to me, the feeling I got off it was like, is he trying to be like popular for Japan? Because I think an act like Lizzie Borden would be huge in Japan.
Right.
So I think, it kind of reminds me of like the Visual K kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A little more musically.
Right.
And not enough like the old hard rocking, crazy Lizzie Borden. But, we all get older, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel pretty much the same, although that song I just played, that one has a bit of an old school sound to it. But yeah, no, I'm hoping he'll do more material, though, because I would like to hear another record from him. Then hopefully it doesn't take 20 years to get it.
Right. Either way, welcome back, Lizzie Borden.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
great to have you.
Come to Nashville, damn it.
Shoot, yeah, man. Sell me a ticket right now. I'm there.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings me up to number 8. Here's another band. I'm always excited when they come out with new stuff, and they've been putting out some new music pretty consistently over the last couple of years. I'm talking about one of my favorite hard rock bands of all time, heavy metal, all across the board, this band, the Suicidal Tendencies. I got to give it to them because they came out with an EP early in the year, and then they came out with a full album. And the album's called Still Psycho Punk After All These Years. And that might remind people of back in the day when they came out with the album Still Psycho After All These Years, and that was a cover. It was like a self-covers album, like a tribute to themselves when they came in, because the early stuff was kind of rough around the edges. The production wasn't so hot. But then by that point, they had like Robert Trujillo in the band, so they were able to go back and redo those songs. And, most Suicidal fans screech when hearing this, but I always preferred the versions off that 93 album.
Really?
But this one came out, and it's kind of a tie-in to that, too, because these are songs that were done on Mike Muir's solo albums. But he brings it back in for Suicidal Tendencies. The band is just killer. They got Dave Lombardo in the Suicidal Tendencies, for God's sakes. The drumming is out of this world. The guitar playing on this album, this and the EP, are just killer. And, man, just fun. Suicidal Tendencies are always fun. Fun band to listen to, and rockin' hard. Here's a great example of that. Came out this year, like I said, it's Still Psycho Punk After All These Years. The Suicidal Tendencies lost my brain once again.
Don't even know where did it go, and I don't really care. A phony smile just takes a while, and then I'm out of there. Well, I'm a certified nerd, and my thoughts are in a rhyme, but I gave it all and gave it again. No cure, no excuse, don't play the game if you can't win. I lost my brain once again. When I lost my brain, spinning around, lost what I found, always a part of me. Run out of luck, runaway truck, it's all the same to me. I guess my brain's been checked, but I don't really want it back. If you find it, just throw it away. No time, I got, if I change my mind, I'll pick up a stray. Once again, I lost my brain. Once again, I lost my brain. Once again, I lost my brain. I lost my brain. Well, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. Yeah, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. Yeah, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. Yeah, I lost my brain. An empty space, a basket case, for a fucking lunatic. I'll screw us loose, right for abuse. The next adult is just sick. Once again, I lost my brain. I lost it. Once again, I lost my brain. Once again, I lost my brain. I lost my brain. Well, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. Yeah, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. Yeah, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. Yeah, I lost my brain once again, and again, and again. I lost my brain once again. I lost my brain once again. I lost my brain once again. I lost my brain.
I love it, man.
Give that man a Pepsi.
They wouldn't give it to me.
Oh, man. All right.
Love that stuff, man. Love Suicidal Tendencies.
So we're up to my number 8, and this one was a late addition to my list because I just hadn't really given it enough of a spin, but I remember being taken by it the first time I heard it. It's a band called Devil's Hand, and it's a team-up of Andrew Freeman and Mike Slamer. Now, Andrew Freeman is the definition of a hired gun. He's a vocalist, and he's had stints with The Offspring, Hurricane, Lynch Mob, and he's the current frontman for Last in Line.
Right on.
As well as rumored to be the permanent singer for Lies, Deceit, and Treachery, Mick Sweeta's new, well, basically, the Bullet Boys without Mark Torrey.
Right, yeah.
And Mike Slamer, if you don't know the name, he's also very much a hired gun as a guitarist. He's worked on numerous television and movie soundtracks, but he's most well known for providing the solos on the first 2 Warren albums.
Yeah.
He's the guy. And someone in the Frontiers Records camp was smart enough to put these two together, and the result's amazing. Here's Devil's Hand from the album Devil's Hand, performing a song called Devil's Hand.
You'll never get the last word when you play with your heart's desire. 'Cause you're on my last nerve, and my blood's become a raging fire. Do I make you sick with these dirty tricks? 'Cause you know the devil is a liar. You can draw the line or pray for a sign, and I will lift you higher. All that you've forsaken, all
I dig that so much.
The whole record is really, really good.
I'm going to get it. As soon as we're done here, I'm putting in the order. I got to get that. Devil's Hand. How cool, man. I love it.
It's a great team. And usually these team-up type albums are like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know if they're going to work because you got different personalities and everything. But, man, that's killer.
A lot of chemistry between those two.
Devil's Hand. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess that brings us up to
7.
Number 7. All right, this is another one. I always look forward to this. You know, this guy's pretty revered around here. I'm talking about John Corabi, you know, the dude that way back in the day was so cool enough to give us the albums Unleashed on Motley Crue 94.
It's a good drinking buddy.
Yeah, he is. If you've never heard that one, you got to go back in the archives and check that out.
Yeah, we can remember what we talked about.
That was fun to listen back to the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, we're actually kind of good at this. So I got to go with the Dead Daisies at number 7. They came out with their new album on Spitfire called Burn It Down. I mean, basically a super group.
Yeah.
You know, and you got John Corabi singing it. That guy sounded just as good as ever.
Mm-hmm.
The new album, look at that cover. I love it. They even nowadays, you know, bands still care enough to make cool album covers.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a taste for you. You know them, you love them. The Dead Daisies, tune called What Goes Around.
Time has a way of letting you see the truth.
stuff.
The whole album's really kick-ass. The only complaint I got about this is they do 2 covers on here. They do a cover of Bitch by the Rolling Stones, and then they do a cover of Revolution by the Beatles.
Right. Don't like 'em?
Groundbreaking stuff.
Bitch by the Stones is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, but man, everybody does covers of those songs.
That's true.
You know, Great White does a cool version of Bitch, you know, and how many bands have done Revolution?
Their cover of Midnight Moses is pretty great.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example right there. You take a cool obscure tune and you do a cover of that, and then the people that know that song really get excited about it, and the people that don't know that song, well, you just turn them on to it because they're going to go, wow, you know, this is a cover? Who does the original?
Right.
Nobody's listening to Revolution going, wow, this is a really cool song. I'd like to check out the original. These Dead Daisies are rocking it.
Well, I was lucky enough to see them in 2018 live.
Yeah.
And, man, just a great band live. And, you know, Doug Aldrich, just incredible lead player.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a lot of charisma on stage. They were amazing live. I was definitely worth your time and your money to go check them out.
Yeah, and the whole rest of the album's really good. And I, you know, piss on the covers a little bit, but even the cover versions of those songs, even though you've heard people cover those songs a million times, these guys doing it is still pretty cool, and the whole rest of the album's just killer.
Karabi could sing just about anything, and I'll like it.
Oh, yeah,
And it's just,
totally.
His voice fits on almost
Makes everything a little bit better, right?
Yeah. All right, so you ready for my biggest curveball of my whole list?
Uh-huh.
If you had told me that a metalcore band would make my top 10 this year, I would have said you're crazy. But hear me out on this.
Okay, because right now I'm going to say, you're crazy.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
This is a younger band from Lansing, Michigan. And if it weren't for Coxie, Adam Cox, who's our Facebook admin and also a great writer for the site, he had done a review on this band, I'd have never known who they were. And it swayed me enough to check them out. This is a band called Heart of Jordan. And what you're about to hear needs to be experienced through headphones at a very loud volume. Sit back and enjoy this one. It's Heart of Jordan with a song called Throne Alone.
Try
Oh, wow.
So you're not ready to fire me from the
No,
show
man,
now?
that was actually pretty cool. When I think of like metalcore, I don't think of like that. That's like, I guess there is a version of metalcore that I can dig.
That was my response.
Because that's hard and heavy. It's kind of got a little bit of flavor of like corn to it or something like that, and, you know, really heavy stuff, but the vocals are really good. Like, normally when I think of like metalcore, I think, you know,
screamo type
but
stuff.
that's really good.
Yeah, the vocalist has a great melodic style voice, which if you don't have the Cookie Monster vocals, I'll listen. But the minute I start hearing the I can't get into it.
Right, no.
Yeah,
But that I can dig.
Heart of Jordan. That's all. Thank you, Coxie, for the recommendation.
If you guys aren't going to decibelgeek.com to get your rock and roll information, you know, you're missing out on something there for sure.
I mean, the lists that are on decibelgeek.com from our writers definitely had an influence on what I picked today.
All right, so that brings me up to number 6. One of my favorite bands, man. I'm always excited when this band comes out with a new album, and 2018 was no exception. Talking about one of my all-time favorite bands, Enough's Enough. We've seen Enough's Enough this year.
And they were great.
They were fantastic. Talk about super groups. Chips Enough's got it going on. You know, some of these guys may not be world renowned, you know, outside of like the Decibel Geek type circle of people, but man, talent.
Yeah.
I mean, Tori on lead
Incredible guitar playing.
Unbelievable guitar player. If you get a chance to see Enough's Enough live, you're going to just be blown away by this guy. And then you got Tony Fennell in there, and he's playing rhythm guitar and doing some keyboards. And, you know, Danny B. Hill, like we've talked about before, the son of Dusty from ZZ Top. This guy stands out on his own, amazing drummer. And the whole album's really good. You know, I was really happy with it. I'm glad Chip's carrying on the name, keeping the band alive, especially when he's got talent like this with him. Hard to pick a song off here because I like them all, but this one here is easily my favorite. Chips Enough, along with the boys, Enough's Enough, brand new album, Diamond Boy from 2018, a tune called Faith, Hope, and Love.
We're gonna turn you on. Wait for the break of the morning light. I hear the sound, it's all around. The sound is blasting faith. It's faith and hope and love. We're gonna turn you on. It's faith and hope and love. We're gonna turn you on. It's faith and hope and love and love. We're gonna turn you on. It's faith and hope and love and love. We're gonna turn you on. Yeah, yeah. We're gonna turn you on.
I really dig that album, and it almost made my list. Also, I figured you were going to pick it, so I left it off. But yeah, it was certainly on my also ran list, and it's a good solid effort. It's great to have original Enough's Enough material coming out again.
And it sounds like good classic Enough's Enough. You know, that's what I like. You know, Chip's Enough is not changing the band. He's not, taking it into something completely
It's not
different.
a dubstep album or anything.
Somebody that was a fan of Enough's Enough back in the day could discover it and be like, oh, I used to really like Enough's Enough. Pick up the new album and be like, this is cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's a good record. All right.
Keep them coming, Chip.
Yeah, I
Keep
hope they do
them
another
coming.
one. So my number 6, and we'll go into break after this one. This is a band came out of nowhere to me this year. Apparently they were a thing on the Sunset Strip in the 80s, secured a record deal, put out a debut album, and then they vanished for 30 years.
Wow.
So they're a band called Roxanne.
Huh.
And they used to end their set with a cover of Play That Funky Music back in the 80s while supporting the first record. And here's a little trivia for you. Once the band ended, singer Jamie Brown formed a band called the Boogie Nights. Needing to focus on the business aspect, Jamie Brown hired a new singer, Jeff Scott Soto.
Oh, wow. He's been everywhere.
As we discussed with Sonny Pooney when he joined us. Remember, he talked about this covers
that's
band.
right.
That was the band.
Oh, wow.
So the singer for Roxanne actually formed that group. And Roxanne reformed in 2018 and put out Radio Silence. Now, this album is a really solid from top to bottom, features some cool guest appearances from George Lynch and Doug Pinnick. There's a song called Go Fuck Yourself with Doug Pinnick on it. It's really good.
Cool.
That almost picked this, but the track I was most taken by features some of the best harmony vocals I've heard in a rock song in ages. It's called Broken Chandeliers, and it's my number 6 song of 2018.
Mister, pour me another. Raise a toast to our town. See, my eyes have been opened. Oh, my head
Want to be a member of the Decibel Geek Army?
You slimy scumbag, get on your face and give me 25.
Join us on our fan page at facebook.com/DecibelGeek.
Me love you long time.
And then, of course, we've got the Decibel Geek VIPs. You don't know about this? You got to know about it by now. Head on over to patreon.com, look up Decibel Geek, and become a part of it because we're cranking out the Torpedo Dudes now. Yeah, we've got episode 2 up, and it's a Music from the Elder discussion. That's out now. Plus the one we did the week before with the Peter Criss discussion.
Yeah.
And there's, it's a full nother podcast, about an hour long. We do, this week in history or whatever. We have guests sometimes. We just recorded one just today, as a matter of fact, with a special guest, and we want you guys to check that one out. That's going to be coming up next. That'll be Torpedo Dudes episode 3. So if you're not a VIP yet,
get on board.
And you don't feel like you're getting enough Decibel Geek, like we said, sometimes you get caught up with your favorite podcast and then you don't want to wait for it. Well, that's what's beautiful about what we got going on, is because now that you're caught up and you have the need for more.
Yeah.
Well, we have the supply. You've got the need. The demand is there. Or go over to patreon.com, sign up to become a Decibel Geek VIP, and all that, plus a whole lot more. We're talking hundreds of hours of extra audio content available for you right now. Go do it.
All for the price of a cup of coffee.
It's the perfect Christmas present.
It is.
Or Kwanzaa
Give it to
or
yourself.
Hanukkah or Boxing Day or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
If you haven't noticed, there's been some big things happening over at YouTube with Decibel Geek TV. Yeah. And I'm talking about Rock and Ron, who's been putting together some pretty kick-ass enhanced video versions of the Decibel Geek podcast. So, you listen to the show as a podcast when you're on the go, maybe you're at work or whatever, but you want to just chill out and get a whole another experience with one of our episodes. This is a great way to do it. It's a whole new way of getting the show. So just go on over to YouTube, look up Decibel Geek, and you'll connect to the channel, become a subscriber, because Rock and Ron Runyon is on a rock and roll, man. He's been busting out stuff left and right, and as soon as it becomes available, you get that alert, and you'll know all about it.
Yeah, it's basically like a video version of the show, and like there's pictures there's a picture or there's a visual element to every single thing that you're hearing us say.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I've enjoyed, and I don't listen back to old episodes that much, but with these, I've gone back and watched them.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
It's completely different. You know?
You get a whole nother. It's like I said, it's cool the way it is because you're maybe at work and you got your earphone in, or you're in the car or whatever and can't watch TV. But if you're just chilling at home sometimes, or just sitting there with your iPhone or whatever, go check us out over on YouTube. Our Decibel Geek TV is kicking ass, especially now thanks to Rock and Ron Runyon.
Yes.
Hello, baby.
Hi, this is Dr. Love calling, and I've got the cure you're thinking of. It's the Decibel Geek Podcast.
So you're up with your number 5.
Right, number 5. So, speaking of legacies and celebrating the music, man, here's a band that, I don't think they've ever failed to make my top 10 in a year that they came out with an album, and this one's no exception. Starting off my top 5 with one of my favorite bands of all time and a really great album they came out with this year. I'm talking about Clutch. This is their 12th studio album. Clutch has been at it for a while, man. They know what they're doing. The last albums have all been really good, but this one I really, really liked a lot. Kick myself in the ass because it was recorded right here in Nashville.
Oh, really?
How did we not know that?
I had no idea.
We should have been down there banging on the door with the Zoom in our hand.
No
Please
kidding.
talk to us.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on in there. It sounds like magic because that's what it sounded like to my ears the first time I listened to it. If you love Clutch, you're going to really, really love this. If you don't know Clutch, you're going to really, really love this. So I highly recommend you check it out. The album's called Book of Bad Decisions. Here's a taste for you off of that. A tune called Spirit of 76.
The flyers beat the red
Sounds like Clutch, and that's not a
Shit,
bad thing.
man. No, it's never bad to sound like Clutch, and the whole album, it's got its, it's different flavors and different songs, but, I mean, you get classic Clutch in there, you get some stuff that's a little bit outside the box, but it's all really, really good.
And one of the best live bands you'll ever see.
Oh, totally.
If they come to your town, make sure you go.
Yeah, you got to. And this is a band, I think, I remember back in the day on radio, when the single came across, I think Elephant Riders was out. I don't remember exactly what the song was, but I listened to it and I was like, what is this? How have I not known about this band? And you find out they've got albums for years already. And it's like, why isn't everybody into this band? And I have no idea. I don't know whatever happened to Clutch. They're good enough to be on that upper echelon of money-making bands throughout history, but for whatever reason, they just never did.
And nobody sounds like them.
Nobody sounds like them, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Everything they've ever done is damn good.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
And this album is freaking tops, man. They kind of topped themselves over the last few albums with this one, I think. I really like this a lot.
So for my number 5, branded as Norwegian death punk. I'll be
Oh, that sounds... I might be interested in this. That sounds good.
I'll be completely honest. I've never really paid attention to this band, but exposure from you over the years to Turbo Negro has gotten me interested.
I'm really shocked and surprised to see this on your list.
Same here, because if you told me at the beginning of the year that a Turbo Negro album would be on my number 5, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah, me too.
This new album, Rock and Roll Machine, it really came on my radar, and I got to give credit thanks to Michael Butler from Rock and Roll Geek Show, because he did a track-by-track review of this album along with ex-singer Hank Von Hell's album, going track by track back and forth. And both albums are really good. You can't be in a bad mood after listening to this album. Rock and Roll Machine, as you'd expect, borrows from a lot of influences, and I think it's pretty easy to figure out which band influenced this tune. It's my number 5 song of 2018, and it's called Fist City.
You think you're tough, been starting riots on your phone. You stretch your stuff, can't wait to get you all alone. It's time to say enough, I'm gonna give a dog a bone. You say you like it rough, so I just left the gloves at home. I'm setting off to where the sun has never shone. Fist City, come on.
Yeah, if you like Kiss, if you like AC/DC, Alice Cooper, if you're into that kind of stuff, there's nothing you can't love about Turbo Negro.
No, it's just fun rock and roll.
It's totally fun rock and roll. And, the only thing for me that still hurts is that Hank Von Hell's not in the band anymore, and I think he added so much to it. But that brings me up to my next pick. Hank Von Hell came out with a solo album this year, and it's killer. Oh, it is so good.
It really is.
I mean, the band is amazing. I want to say something to you right now. Cat Casino. Mm-hmm. That may sound like a magical place, but it's not. It's his guitar player who just freaking shreds on this album.
Yeah.
You got to familiarize yourself with this. This is my number 4 album of the year. So here you go. Here's a taste for you. I know you're going to love this. This is Hank Von Hell. The album's called Egomania, and this is a tune called Too High.
From time to time, between dimensions across my mind, a stain of ink, it meant too much. Blow your finger, I want that touch. Too slow, too fast, and just a little too high. Too high, too slow, too fast, and just a little too high. What do you do? Recycled food is good for you. The mighty reaper planting seeds of universal dirty deeds. Too slow, too fast, and just a little too high. Too high.
So good.
So good. And, that's weird, that they come out with albums in the same year, Turbo Negro and Hank Von
And they
Hell.
both pretty well delivered.
And so you almost kind of invite that comparison.
Yeah, it's
which
funny we
one's
played them
better.
back to back like that.
Right, yeah.
That was totally not planned either.
Well, I guess we're going to probably talk about that again with your next pick, because we've got a couple of people that are part of each other's lives
That's
that
true.
always seem to come out with new albums at the same time and always seem to get compared to each other.
Yeah, you played Enough's Enough earlier, which I love that album too. My number 4 of 2018 is from an album I anticipated since it was first announced on Pledge Music earlier in the year. Donnie V returned to the music world with a great collection of songs called Beautiful Things while there's definitely a lack of rockers on this record, it has a lot of great reflective lyrics spun over the top of lush, jangly guitars and Beatle harmonies, which is his stock and trade. This song is one of the better breakup songs I've ever heard. It's called Back from the Blue.
Our last words have all been said. All your fresh flowers dead. Pull the covers from the bed that still smell like you. I hope you like your new place. Your closet got enough space. I'm laying low, I'm letting go. Find comfort from the radio. Right now it doesn't feel like this broken heart will heal, but soon you'll find appeal in something brand new. Occasionally find things, little sad remindings of the love we made, but that too will fade like a worn-out birthday video. Goodbyes, just a part of love when it dies, when the fire goes out in your eyes. You try to remember the good times, the glowing smiles and the sunshine, and all of the good we achieved, when both of us tried and believed. A child we bear from a good place, and throw it all in a suitcase. You can carry along with you too, when you're crawling back from the blue. When you're sitting on the floor in some t-shirt that I wore, just staring at the door, hoping I might walk through. After a night of drinking, it's when you get to thinking of crawling back, but keep on the track, 'cause that's no place your face ought to go. Goodbyes, just a part of love when it dies, when the fire goes out in your eyes. You try to remember the good times, the glowing smiles and the sunshine, and all of the good we achieved, when both of us tried and believed. A child we bear from a good place, and throw it all in a suitcase. You can carry along with you too, when you're crawling back from the blue. When you come crawling back from the blue. Oh yeah.
One you can't get in stores. You still have to get it through Pledge Music as of now. It hasn't really.
Right.
So I guess technically I kind of cheated, but
Well,
you can buy it.
And because I got it, because you can order the CD off the Pledge Music, and you know it's been officially released.
Right.
Because once you buy it, then you get the digital
tracks,
download.
yeah.
Still waiting on the CD, but Donnie V's been going through some serious shit this
A lot
last
of
year.
health
You know,
problems.
yeah. So,
Yeah, hopefully
but
he's
he's
getting better.
man, that guy is something else, man. He's amazing. The new album. You know me, I'm a huge Enough Snuff fan. I'm a huge fan of Donnie V, Chip, all of them, you know, throughout the years. This album didn't really do it for me that much. I mean, other than the fact that it's now my new favorite Beatles album.
Well, it's a lot of Beatles influence on it. I mean, I really loved it. I think it's great. And it's almost like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going to put together a playlist of songs from this album and the Enough's Enough album, just to hear it together.
All right, so what's that up to? Our top three now? Oh, boy. People might be surprised by this because normally when the Spaceman comes out with a new album, it's automatically number one for me.
That's what I figured.
You can look back throughout history of Decibel Geek and know that every year that we've done this, that has coincided with the new Ace Frehley album, I'm pretty sure every time that's been number one for me.
So you're breaking from tradition.
Breaking from tradition because this year, Ace Frehley falls to number 3 with his latest album, Spaceman. There's some really great stuff on it, you know, and I'm always grateful to have new music from Ace Frehley, and I'm so glad this guy is clean and sober because he's been releasing more albums now than he ever has.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Real creative name, by the way.
You can thank Gene for that.
For your new album, yeah. Oh, yeah, just call it Spaceman. You know, everybody will know. I love the cover. I think Ace looks cool as hell on the cover of the album. You know, I love it. But this is absolutely my favorite song on the album. The solo on this is just killer. It's a tune called Mission to Mars.
By far my favorite song on the album, too.
You got to have them space-themed songs, right?
Well, just
what would an Ace Frehley album be without that?
Well, aside from the space theme thing, the music on it's just killer.
Yeah, I love it. I love it a lot. But you know what? I like most of the album, but that song completely blew me away. Ace Frehley didn't make it number 1 this year, but he did make it to number 3.
That's pretty respectable.
Keep it up, Ace. You're doing good.
So on to my number 3. This is the 12th studio album from Stryper, produced by Michael Sweet, 4 Frontiers Records. It's called Goddamn Evil. This album caused controversy upon release because of the title. Walmart actually refused to carry the album because of the title.
Yep.
And the first single, Take It to the Cross, caused some head scratching with its death growls on the chorus provided by Matthew Backhand from Shadows Fall. Which,
I actually liked it.
yeah, but
I liked it a lot.
You have to admit, you were kind of like, what the hell is that?
Well, when you're going into it with the mindset of, oh, here, check out the new Stryper song. But when you listen to it for just being a song,
it grew on me over time.
without any, preconceptions of what you think you're about to hear on its own, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Aside from all the hoopla, it's another solid effort from a band that just seems to improve as time goes on.
Perry Richardson knew the name of the title, and he would not tell us.
He would not.
He just told us you're going to be surprised.
And yeah, highlights for me on this album include Sorry, The Valley, and this one. It's called Beautiful. That song, in my opinion, kind of it's like an old Stryper meets new Stryper song.
Yeah,
you can hear elements of the old version of the band and with the modern version of it too.
And again, like I've always been saying about Stryper these last many years now. In my opinion, Stryper's coming out with the best albums of their whole entire career. I wasn't a Stryper fan when I was a kid. I freaking love Stryper now.
Yeah, they're great.
And I'd take this new album off over any classic Stryper album any day.
Yeah.
And Perry Richardson, Great fit in the
addition.
band, man. Love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to. Hopefully, I'm sure they'll do another one with him.
Heck yeah, man. Good stuff. All right, number two. Number 2. We're down to the end now.
So what's going to beat Ace Frehley? 2 artists beat out Ace Frehley.
2 albums this year beat out Ace Frehley for me, and this is, it's hard to top number 1, but I think in all actuality, the album that I got this year that I go back to more often, even than what my number 1 pick is, was the new album from Jizzy Pearl. Thank you, Frontiers, for making this happen. This album is so good. If you're an old love-hate fan, you're going to go fucking nuts for this album because it's in that same style and flavor and vein as old school love-hate. But then again, if you're a fan of Jizzy Pearl's solo stuff, which I am, you can't differentiate these bands. I'm a fan of everything Jizzy Pearl's done. I think he's one of the most underrated rock singers of all freaking time. This guy's got a voice that could kill somebody just by hearing it. Be careful. It's dangerous. And this album, man, he sings his ass off on it. The whole thing is good. There's not one bad song on the entire thing, but this one here is my favorite. Hard rockin' tune. Reminds me of the good love-hate stuff from back in the day. The new album's on Frontiers. It's called All You Need Is Soul. The one and only Jizzy Pearl with Frustrated.
Come on! Hey, yeah! Come aboard, just sign on the dotted line. 2 months in and your head was spin, rock and roll, it's so cold inside. 17 months to the promised land, did you wish you had a place to hide? Someone's calling it bait and switch, I call it suicide. Frustrated, 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 frustrated. Singing, yeah, have no fear, you can leave anytime you like. Tried to save me when you did the things that cut you off at the finish line. Up in my shows, didn't like a half big brother with the one good eye. Never had a last for words, you mother, the last word now is mine. Frustrated, 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 frustrated. People kill for a better life till they find it's no better. When you dance with the evil eye, nothing succeeds once you get off your knees. People kill for a better life till they find it's no better. When you dance with the evil eye, nothing succeeds once you get off your knees. Frustrated, 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 frustrated.
Shit, yeah.
I remember how excited you were when you first heard that. I think I played you the single first for that before you got the album.
Yeah, because you're
And
always spoiling stuff for
I
me.
know, but you were happy I spoiled that one for
Yeah,
you.
because it's really good. The single is really good. The title track's fantastic. This album is so good. So good. Go get it.
I guess you like it.
Oh, I love it.
Okay. So we're on to my number 2. And now this is a total late in the game one. It was made thanks to DecibelGeek.com. I'm sorry to pimp our own site. Actually, no, I'm not. But thanks to writer Graham Spark for turning me on to this one. This is a band called Massive Wagons. They're from the UK, and they may just be the best-kept secret that there is. With an album as incredible as Full Nelson, they won't be a secret much longer. This is their 4th album since 2012. Every once in a while, there are albums on our best-of list that you know are going to grow in stature over time. This is one of those albums. The production, the songwriting, the hooks. There's so many hooks on this thing. This album hit me very late in the year. Almost pushed my number one out of its top spot. That's how good this album is, but not quite. Enjoy this. Here's your new favorite band, Massive Wagons, performing Under No Illusion.
Massive Wagons.
The entire record is that good. The whole thing. I couldn't even figure out which song to pick.
I don't even know this band.
I knew the name, and I think I've heard some of their stuff a year or two ago, but no, this, and I've gone back and listened to more. They're fucking amazing.
So how long has this band been around?
I guess since 2012.
Oh, wow. So they got more albums?
Yeah, there's four albums total.
Massive Wagons.
Massive
wow.
Wagons.
I think I might have just discovered one of my new favorite bands.
But it's just incredible, and it's just great rock and roll. It's from the UK, and what got me was the production. It sounds like such a giant, big budget production.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just killed her. So yeah, almost took the top spot away from my number one, which anybody that knows me knows what my number one's going to be.
Right, because we're making history right here on the Decibel Geek Podcast.
Before we get to number one,
history.
Can I list off my also rans that almost made the list?
Yeah, because there's probably, 150 of them?
Yeah, it feels like it. Hardcore Superstar Electric Rider, which you heard in the intro.
I like that.
Electric Rider was the song. You Can't Kill My Rock and Roll's the album. Nazareth, Tattooed on My Brain, almost made the list. Striker, Play to Win. Perfect Plan from Frontiers. That was one that Nick turned us on to. A band called Bishop Gun with this album called Natchez, who our friends from Digital Killed the Radio Star turned me on to that.
Yeah.
That was one of their top albums of the year.
Right on.
Stephen Pearcy, View to a Thrill. Pretty good record.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sound like some good classic Rat?
It does.
Right on.
Dee Snider, For the Love of Metal.
Yeah, see, that one was tough for me, too. Not a lot of songs on it, but the songs that are on it are really good.
Really well done.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
It definitely caught me by surprise. Also, The Amorettes, Born to Break. That almost made my list. Animal Drive, Bite. That almost made my list. Reese, Resilient Heart, who's David Reese
some of that.
who was in Accept for a little while.
Yeah.
It's a really good record. Here's one you probably haven't heard of, two that you probably haven't heard of. Earthless, an album called Black Heavens, a little bit like stoner rock.
Huh, cool. I like that.
Riverside, an album called Wasteland, and it's like kind of modern metal, but like kind of experimental almost.
Okay.
That was really good. Wet, Earth Rage, the one with Jeff Scott Soto and the guy from Eclipse.
Oh, wow. That didn't make Sonny's list? What?
Yeah, I guess it didn't.
What?
That's kind of surprising.
Wow.
Amorphous, Queen of Time, that's on Nuclear Blast. That's a little heavier. Saxon's Thunderbolt.
Yeah, Thunderbolt was really good. Saxon, man, another band that keeps coming out with some of their best stuff.
Another one that has kind of a retro sound, Dream Child, Torn Between Two Worlds. Almost has a bit of an old school Dio sound. This band, if it wasn't for the singer, this band would be one of my favorites. It's a band called the Night Flight Orchestra, and its album's called Sometimes the World Ain't Enough. But it sounds like the voice on the singer just kills me. It's weird. It's like a pop singer trying to sing metal. It's weird. And then finishing it out, this band is not hard rock in the least, and it's a female singer, like a blues band called Hannah Wickland and the Stepping Stones. But check that out if you haven't. It's a good throwback. So and also, I can't believe this didn't make my list, but I didn't give it enough of a shot, to be honest. DC4, Atomic Highway, came out last year.
I forgot all about that.
And it has a lot of great songs on it. Probably should have made my top 10, so I'm kind of kicking myself right now that I didn't put them on the list.
All that DC4 stuff's really good.
Yeah.
A couple of them for me that was really close. I really like the new Black Label Society album that came out this year, Grimace Hits. It's really good. That was real close for me. That Y&T Acoustic Classics, I mean, you can't beat that, but I'm not a big acoustic guy. The new COC album's pretty good. I checked that out. I kind of dug that. Let's see, what else? Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. I dug that quite a bit. That's good Motorhead, traditional kind of stuff. You can't go wrong with it. Nick Oliveri used to be in Queens of the Stone Age. He's got a new album, No Hits at All, Volume 4. There's some cool stuff on that. Did you know Blaze Bayley came out with an album?
No, and I don't care. I'm not a fan of Blaze Bayley.
Let's see, what else? Oh, Axel Rudy Pell. I listened to a little of that. That was pretty cool. The new Monster Magnet's got some good stuff on it.
I forgot they even put anything out.
I dug that. Let me see. We talked about Visual Kai a little bit earlier with Lizzie Borden, and I was thinking of the Gazette came out with an album. I checked out a little
Kevin
of that,
that.
and Love Bites came out with an album that was pretty cool. That's so weird how I never knew about that stuff, and then we get taught about it, and then all of a sudden it's really cool to me, and I'm actually paying attention to the new Visual K albums that are coming out. Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
They're pretty cool. Tenacious D came out with a new album this year. That was fun. I listened to that. It was pretty cool. I liked it. My son got it for me for Christmas. Nita Strauss, that was one I really wanted to check out. People have been talking good about that. And Metal Church was another one I wanted to check out, and I didn't quite get to. See, that's what makes it hard. You miss out on a lot.
There's a lot of you yelling at your phones on the stuff that we missed.
Right. I know. What are you going to do?
Well,
2,000 albums.
Go on the Facebook page on the comment section for this episode and give us your top 10. Let us know how bad we screwed up.
Well, I don't think there's no screwing this up because, like I said, we're going to make history right here with this one because never before in the best of a year-end episode,
probably never again either,
have we ever agreed to what was number one.
That's true.
And this year, it was easy to agree that Judas Priest, Firepower, is the number one Decibel Geek album of the year.
For both of us.
For both of us.
Yeah.
I loved it, man.
Oh, it's incredible.
Like I say, I still go back to the Jizzy Pearl a little more often, but I mean, you just can't defeat the Mighty Priest.
No,
You can't fight it.
It's an amazing record.
The whole thing. I like it a lot. What'd you think?
Oh, and I was happy with the Redeemer of Souls, and I would have been okay even if for another one of those, but this blew that right out of the water. I mean, I think it's the best thing at least since Painkiller, and it may be better than Painkiller.
Yeah,
Might
really.
be the best thing since Defenders.
It's been the best thing in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Because they're paying tribute to themselves in a lot of ways. You know,
Yeah.
they're looking back at different eras of the band, and you
hear it.
every song on this album, you can almost say, that would go good on this album.
Yes.
Ooh, and that one would go good on this album.
Yep.
And oh yeah, this one would be perfect on that one.
Yep.
So how do we do this? Do we each get a pick?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me go first, man.
Okay.
This is my favorite song on the album. It just freaking rocks. It's everything I ever wanted out of Judas Priest and a whole lot more from Firepower. This is a tune called Evil Never Dies.
The devil's moved from Georgia. His mission's still the same. The world's become his oyster once again. If you don't think you're worthy and you don't meet the cause, he knows what's going on behind closed doors. Beware, there's voodoo in the night. Evil never dies. Evil never dies. A master of deception who takes you by the hand, then leads you to the palace of the damned. He pulls the strings inside you and plays upon your fears. Your final scream is music to his ears. Beware, there's voodoo in the night. Evil never dies. Evil never dies. I'm caught up in this voodoo, trying to break free. I feel I'm being smothered, trapped by this entity. Blackened clouds surround me, filling me with dread. I can't escape the horror with the devil in my head. He relishes the suffering, can't stand this heart attack. My life's been taken hostage, and it's never coming back.
Hard rock, heavy metal, you can't beat it. Judas Priest 2018. That's freaking awesome.
They so exceeded, I think, everyone's expectation. I don't think I heard one bad review of this album.
That's what I love. Like I said, like with Ace Frehley, with some of these other bands, like I got such high expectations that sometimes I scare myself because I think, dang, this is one of my favorite bands, but my expectations are so high because they're one of my favorite bands and I know what they're capable of, that a lot of times it's hard to reach that.
Yeah.
But Judas Priest with this album, man, of course I'm going to think it's going to be great. It's Judas Priest, whatever they do is going to be at least be somewhat great.
Yeah.
But man, that blew away anything that I expected it to be. Like I listened to it and I was like, whoa, this is better than what I expected. And I expected a lot.
Well, and they set a template for other, heritage acts, if for lack of a better term. If you think that your old favorite bands can't put out good material anymore, look at this album.
Right.
This album stands up with everything they've ever done. Even in the glory days, it's that good.
For sure.
And it's just amazing they could put out one of the best works on their 18th release.
Right, and that's the thing, too. Like we said about these songs, how they could fit in different areas of the band. You could stick this right in with the rest of the Priest albums, hit shuffle. Well, after you take Nostradamus out of the mix, hit shuffle, and it's gonna rock and roll just as good as the old stuff.
It's great. And then the combined production from Tom Allom, who was there for the glory years, and then Andy Sneap, who is really the go-to guy in modern metal production.
Right. And that's cool that they did it that way.
Those two guys were a perfect combination. If they do another album, it has to be those two guys producing it because it's perfect. There's no better album release this year. I defy anyone to argue with it. I mean, I'm sure you will, but so I guess we're ready to play out the last song.
Yeah. So, of course, as always, thank you guys for the awesome 2018. We had fun at Rockin' Pod 2. We're already planning Rockin' Pod 3.
Yep.
If you want to know all about that, become a Decibel Geek VIP, and you get all the inside the show information that nobody else gets to know about. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on coming in 2019.
Yes.
And that's the first place the news of that stuff's going to get broken. So you want to stay on the cutting edge of all things Decibel Geek, become a VIP. Rockin' Ron's got YouTube going on, Decibel Geek TV. Check out the Facebook page. Check out DecibelGeek.com and stick with us in 2019 because we're nowhere near done rocking. And you know what? Neither's Judas Priest.
That's true. One of the best albums released in their entire career. This, in my opinion, is definitely the song of 2018. This is Judas Priest with a song called No Surrender. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.